Now remember I said when I push the door that way a little bit, maybe the deadbolt, see this deadbolt, you really don't have any adjustment on the deadbolt, but because this is pushed in further, okay, it's pushing the door in further, this still fits because there's still enough clearance that fits in here. But if I pushed it over any further, and if it started rubbing, remember before it was rubbing on this front side because the door wasn't over far enough. Now that I've adjusted this and the door is now a good 1/16, almost an 1/8 of an inch closer to the weather stripping, that means the deadbolt, instead of hitting right there, is off of this edge by a good 1/16 to almost an 1/8, and it's just barely missing this side over here. Now, if it was rubbing this side, instead of taking this whole thing, moving it over, let's say, I could just ream the edge of there. Remember I said I had a reaming bit? That's what I wanted to show you. I'm not going to need it, but see this, that's my reaming bit. It's shaped like a cone. It's got little burrs on there. You put that on your drill and you just run it along the side. And I use that every once in a while. I'll need that. And see, I actually saw another one. See, here's another one that I used to use. I don't really like using this one. I'll use it now and again. You can see that I've used it, okay? But it's hard to get in there on a sharp corner. This is not a reaming bit. This is something different. That's for something else, drilling holes, and then you just drill the hole yay big, and then you start drilling it more and more and more, and this thing eats it up. Oh man, this thing's expensive. You don't really need that for many things, but when I need it, I got it. But see, if I let's say if I had to take that out and ream it out, see how those little inside corners, I could get just barely with this. In fact, this one, if I reamed it, see, I can just barely get it right there and right on the edges. So I didn't concave this out. And if I wanted to get from, from here down, I would barely be able to do it with this. But I've used this so much, it's dull from here to there now. And see, I used to have another one like this that went just to a point. And I went to 3 different hardware stores and I couldn't find one. I'm like, what? So I use that one. Okay, so that was the other thing I was going to tell you on that. And I know this is locking all the way. And I made a video a while ago, and I fixed this because on the deadbolt, I was locking it, and I realized it wasn't going over all the way. It was only going like that far. For 17 years before we bought the house, this house was almost 18 years old, and for the entire time, this top deadbolt, they were locking it and like that, okay? Well, let me tell you, if you have it like that, just like that, let's say, okay? It's not locking it, watch, see? I can do this all day long. And this was hitting wood in there, and it wasn't engaging all the way. You gotta have this deadbolt out far enough, and then it clicks right there. So I know this has to go up and down. When I'm locking it, it has to go that far. You see? If it was going that far, it's still not locking. Somebody could come in from the other side with a credit card. If you didn't have a lock at the bottom, let's say, you only had a deadbolt up here. Lots of houses nowadays has a passage handle at the bottom and a deadbolt at the top. They don't have a lock and a lock, okay? And if you thought this was locked, and you're like that, I can get out there with a credit card on the other side, open this door right up in 5 seconds, pretty much, because all I have to do is grab it and push it back. You see what I mean? Or a putty knife, or a sharp edge of a knife, pocket knife or something, and you just grab it on here and you pull it and you pull it and you pull it, and pretty soon you got it open. Okay, but see, I've got it. It clicked right there. That's what I was checking earlier, because I wanted to make sure that now that I've adjusted this closer, I wanted to make sure there wasn't any wood in the way on the back side of where the deadbolt goes, and it's not, and I can hear it click. See, I click it, then I know it's locked all the way. And I even checked the other door going out into the other garage, same thing. I had to end up fixing both of those. Okay, now it's exactly where it needs to be, no squeaks or anything, because this deadbolt is not rubbing on the side of there. I actually have the door pushed in closer, so because it's winter, I'm not going to get as much air coming in around the door, being that it's an 8-foot tall door. You want to make sure you keep the air out, okay? And that's why you want to keep that pushed up. Now see, there's still a little give, and the reason why there's give is because you've got that weather stripping on there, and when, like I say, and this weather stripping is kind of pushed down. After years and years, this pushes in, because the new stuff sticks out about like that, and then you push it in, and it pushes right up tight to the door. Well, this stuff is 18 years old, a little more than 18 years old now, and it's kind of pushed in and more flexible than the new stuff. Okay, in fact, I have one piece. Remember I told you I had enough for the top, and here it is. And I'll just show this to you. And you can get this stuff at the hardware store, and you get it like an 8-foot lengths or something like that. You see how it looks? See how far it's sticking out? This little section here fits in a groove in the door jamb, okay? So when that pushes into there, see how much further it's going to be sticking out than the other? See? It's sticking out another 3/16 of an inch, isn't it? Because I know I can only push it in that far into that groove. You see what I mean? There. And then this flexes. So when the door closes, when this is in, the door's going to hit up against there and it's going to flex in. It's still flexing to a certain extent there, but it's going to be that much better with this brand new stuff in there. Okay. And this stuff, you know, when I get ready to replace this, I'll make a video of it. In fact, I believe I've got a video on my channel now of how to remove door weather stripping and how to install door weather stripping. I mean, years ago they didn't have stuff like this. This is really slick. You had to screw it on the outside, remember? You had to screw it on the face of the door jamb, drill it, screws, boom, 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 boom. And then you had to adjust it and push it up tight to the door and make sure it was adjusted ever so properly. But this stuff works way better. This is really the best way. And generally on exterior doors nowadays, they will have a groove right on the side there, and that's where this weather stripping goes. And speaking of this weather stripping, they have it in different colors. Went to the store, and I'm going to be replacing some on a white door jamb, and it just so happened to have white weather stripping. See here? Here it is. And believe it or not, they had, oh man, I think they had 3 different colors of white. They had an off-white, and they had a bright white, and they had a platinum white, and then they had the one I did was this one here is kind of bronzy. See, it's almost a dark chocolatey color, and I think some places might even have black. You'd have to look at that. You could probably order it, and then see this color. This is kind of an off-white. It's kind of a beige. They've got that too. Depending where you go, some hardware stores, they only have the chocolate brown one. Okay, so you've got to look for that. Okay, so there you go. I've got that all fixed. This still fits where it's supposed to. I'm going to leave that alone. And the only last thing I'm going to do is clean up. Hey, always clean up at the end of the job. I'll get the vacuum out and get all this and get that, and vacuum up on the stairs and all that before I call it good. Your job is never done until you clean up. Well, that's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos. I never know what I'm gonna show next, so you might want to just stick around and see. It might save you some money around the house.